The Colts and Panthers, the two teams so far to fire their NFL head coaches. So we're going to look now at the current head coaching hot seat. Which coaches are in danger of potentially losing their jobs as the 2022 season begins to wind down? We've got this broken down from 1 to 10, but also different tiers, because not all tiers are made equal. The first, hot seat tier is they've got a new deal, but this is not going very well, whether it's the first-year head coach or guy who just got extended. At number 1, Josh McDaniels. There is some pre-built-in of, he was the disaster in Denver. The Raiders unquestionably have been a colossal disappointment this year. It's not just that they're losing games, that they upgraded this offense. You add Devontae Adams, you pay Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Derek Carr, and you can't move the ball effectively enough on offense. They have blown 3 different 3-score leads this season. That is unacceptable. And we are halfway through the season. If the Raiders can't beat the Colts on Sunday, he's got to go. Now, what might be McDaniels' saving grace? Does Mark Davis have the money and the desire to fire another head coach? They just had to get rid of John Gruden. They now bring in Josh McDaniels, bring in a new GM. That is a lot of uncertainty in Vegas, and that might be the saving grace there for McDaniels, at least in the short term. Who do you think will end up being the next NFL head coach fired? McDaniels, somebody else? Sound off in the comments. Number 2, Nathaniel Hackett, the Broncos head coach. They've been able to win some games, despite maybe not the most challenging schedule, but they have underachieved this year. And it's not just that, shucks, we've lost some close games to good football teams. It's that they have struggled with basic concepts, high school stuff of like making the right call to go for it, using your timeouts well, looking like they all are on the same page with what the play call is. They have committed to Russell Wilson way more than they could feasibly get out of. If Hackett doesn't at least right the ship down the stretch here, he might be gone. How about that? AFC West, which is supposed to be the super conference, super division this year, underachieving big time. Number 3 is Kliff Kingsbury. And yes, he just signed an extension. But the Cardinals are not playing well, and they look disjointed on offense. And that's a huge concern when ownership just paid the head coach, the GM, and the quarterback. And there's a very public fight with the franchise QB to the head coach to he cussed him out, told him to calm the F down. That's not a good look, and Kliff looked like he was a little scared. I think there's a misplaced power dynamic there. They're 3-6. That's a big gap already. They've already matched their loss total last year. Factor in the late season collapse, this is troubling in Arizona. We've got 2 already. How many more NFL head coaches will end up being fired? You see around 5, give or take, each year. Will there be 3 more? It's the pinned comment on today's show. So how many more head coaches will be fired in the NFL? If the ad break comes on YouTube, head down there and get that prediction in. Our next tier, the AC just died. It's not hot yet, but it's about to be, unless it gets fixed in the very near future, which I think is a great analogy, but it's my show. Of course, I think it's good. Number 4 is Ron Rivera of the Washington Commanders. And what might be Rivera's saving grace is all of the bad around the field, behind the scenes stuff with Dan Snyder going on in Washington. But who here thinks the Commanders are going to win 7 games again this season? Because I think they're going to go 7-10 again, give or take a game or 2. And that's what Ron Rivera's been in several years in a row. 7-9, 5-7 got fired. 7-9, 7-10, 4-5 right now. That's where we're trending towards. It's not great in Washington, but all of the organizational uncertainty might allow Ron Rivera some more time with the Commanders. Number 5, Lovie Smith of the Houston Texans. First off, not a great hire, if we're being honest, because he couldn't get the job done at Illinois, who are now having immense success under Brett Bielema, funnily enough. First year as Texans head coach, which normally means you're safe, but at a certain point, and we'll make this point a few more times, head coaches must win games. NFL teams, we like to say that they're tanking. Not how NFL teams tend to operate. Now, Houston also wants some organizational stability, which I think they need. But the last coach exceeded expectations and won 4 games. What if Houston wins 3? 4 wasn't good enough for the last guy. Why would it be good enough for Lovie Smith? We'll see. Today's show is made possible by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code right there on screen, NFL Daily. $100 down, going to give you an extra $125 for free. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFL Daily. Some fresh odds on BetUS's site. The next Colts head coach, I'm surprised with this list, Mike Kafka. I actually don't mind that one for the Giants OC. Don't bet on Jeff Saturday unless they actually win games. How wild would that be? I don't like Greg Roman there. D'Amico Ryans, intriguing, plus 600. Kellen Moore, plus 700. I wonder if Indy goes old school with their next head coach. We'll find out. More names available than just those 5, by the way, so head over. Chatsports.com/bet and use promo code NFL Daily. The final tier for our next 5 guys is these guys should be safe unless, and we'll break down what the unless is for each guy, beginning with Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach. Again, this is the third and final tier. I'd be a bit surprised if they all got fired. Campbell, I think the Lions like Dan Campbell. And we know that this is a rebuilding phase in Detroit. But remember, they've already fired multiple coaches in Dan Campbell's time. They got rid of Anthony Lynn, Aubrey Pleasant's gone now. They've made changes. And at a certain point, you got to win games. Now, maybe that's only 4 or 5 wins for the Lions. But you know what? The unless is this. If the Lions lose out, they're going to fire Dan Campbell. I don't think they will, but that is your scenario. Now, we have all the latest NFL news, rumors, analysis, head coach replacements, hot boards. When coaches get fired, we will let you know. Hit that subscribe button right now, right here on YouTube for free NFL videos every single day. Number 7 is Mike McCarthy. Like Google Tom, they're 6-2. Why is in the hot seat? Because if they choke again in the postseason, he's gone. The Cowboys, I still believe, barring some weird injury stuff, must have real postseason success for Mike McCarthy to keep his job. I don't think McCarthy's a bad coach, by the way. I really don't. I thought, in reality, his cycle, one of the better hires. Injuries in 2020, good regular season, bad postseason in 2021. Got to have the playoff results this year in 2022, or the Sean Payton rumors and the Dan Quinn conversation will be back in a big way for Dallas. So make those predictions. Will Mike McCarthy be the Cowboys head coach in 2023? Y for yes or N for no. Number 8 is Brandon Staley, who I don't think is going to get fired, just like a lot of the guys on this list here. But LA was aggressive because they've got Justin Herbert on a cheap contract. They spent all this money, and I know injuries are a big factor here, but they have not lived up to expectations. And I know that the nerds, myself included, love how aggressive Brandon Staley is. He does all the right analytical decisions on 4th down and whatnot. But what happens if the Chargers collapse and miss the playoffs again in embarrassing fashion? Ownership might not like that too much. Number 9, Kevin Stefanski. I know there's a weird segment of Browns fans who go, Stefanski's bad. He shouldn't be the play caller. They're getting surprisingly good offensive results out of Jacoby Brissett. Not his fault. But they are trending towards a regression year. 11-5, 8-9. We'll see how far they get. The offense is not the issue. My suspicion when it's all said and done in Cleveland, Stefanski stays with a new defensive coordinator in place for 2023. Number 10, and I am myself surprised he's on here, Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach, who has done a great job his first couple years in Green Bay. 13 wins, but a collapse this year. Then there's an outside chance, unlikely, that he matches his losses his first 3 years this year alone. Probably not going to happen. That'd be a bit of a surprise, but LaFleur has not had the best results this year in Green Bay. I am not firing him. I, much like Stefanski, am going to fire my DC and make some changes, but there are going to be some uncomfortable conversations for Matt LaFleur in the front office after a disappointing year. There's no reason to fire him. He's been too good for his first 3 years to pull the plug already, but weird things do happen in the NFL.